Welcome to a Community Partners interview, where we explore the organizations, opportunities, and resources that look to make changes in our daily lives. I'm your host, Lilly Cereghini, and you're listening to Voices for Ability Radio. All abilities, all the time. Today, I'm joined by Katie Griffiths, the Director of Community Services with the Alzheimer Society of Peel. The Alzheimer Society of Peel exists to alleviate the personal and social consequences of Alzheimer's disease and related dementias to help find the causes, preventions, and cures. Thank you for joining us today, Katie.
Thank you for having me, Lily. I appreciate it.
So, Katie, just at first, can you tell us a bit more about yourself and what inspired you to work for Alzheimer's Society of Peel?
Absolutely. Yes. Well, actually, I have been or had the pleasure of working for the Alzheimer's Society of Peel for over 23 years. I actually got to start working at the Alzheimer's Society of Peel in our Sam McCallion day program 23 years ago. And I started as what we called back then a client service facilitator. So I was working with the clients in the day program. From there, I've been in many different roles. I've worked in our respite home Norris House. I've worked in our First Link team or with our First Link team. I've worked as a counselor, a First Link coordinator, a manager of the day programs, and now I'm in my current role as Director of Community Services. So I oversee a number of our portfolios at the organization. And what made me want to work here is I had loved working with seniors, and I know that Alzheimer's and dementia isn't specifically related to age or seniors, but it was a passion of mine, and I worked with well seniors for a little while, but I also wanted to learn more about dementia and Alzheimer's, and so I was very lucky to get this opportunity to work at the Society and been here ever since.
Sounds like you have a lot of experience. That's pretty cool.
Thank you very much. I'm very lucky. Yeah, you do a lot of learning through the work that we do.
Absolutely. Now, when researching your website, I noticed that you have a couple of programs that are happening at the Alzheimer's Society. Can you tell us a little bit more about some of the programs and services that you have?
Yeah, absolutely. We're really lucky at the Society because we know that across Ontario and Canada, a lot of the local chapters or Alzheimer's societies are very different, and they have been really cultivated based on the community needs over the years. And so we are lucky at the Alzheimer's Society Peel to have multiple adult day programs where we have people who are living with a dementia who can come to our day programs 5 days a week. And we operate them all over Peel region. So we have 3 in Mississauga and 1 in Brampton Malton area. We actually don't have a day program in Caledon, but there are day programs that operate up there that we do refer to. The other thing that we do have is our respite home Norris House, which is open 365 days of the year, 24 hours a day, and is a beautiful home-like environment that supports people living with the disease in order to give them a really safe, lovely place to stay and allow the care partner to be able to take care of anything that they need to take care of or have some space for rest and recovery. We're also very lucky to run a program called the First Link program. And the First Link program is a national program, which is a referral program for healthcare professionals. So anyone in a healthcare professional field can make a referral on behalf of their client with their client's consent to get them connected to more information about the disease and what it looks like. And you don't need an official diagnosis to be referred to us, which is really key because getting a diagnosis of a various type of dementia or Alzheimer's can take such a long time. And so people need support early on. And so we're able to connect with people even in the stages of what we call MCI or mild cognitive impairment. The other programs that we have include our care navigation program. So we navigate families and persons living with dementia through all of the supports that can exist to help them. We have dementia resource consultants who are sort of like that connection to be able to strategize, share, talk about the disease, talk about, the decision-making and transitions that might occur. And then lastly, we're very, very lucky to have another program. I won't even say lastly. We have another program that we are lucky to be able to partner with, which is our Behavioral Supports Ontario program. And so through that program, we offer a lot of supports when someone is at risk due to a behavior from dementia. And we know that dementia has behaviors that are just naturally part of the disease and things that people deal with every day. But sometimes those behaviors can cause risk or barriers to care. And so our Behavioral Supports Ontario program, or BSO program, helps to support that. And that can be done both by helping the staff that support in the community, anybody with dementia, the care partner, themselves if they're struggling with issues, or the person living with dementia themselves. So there's just a really nice approach to being able to help everybody in that circle of care. We also are embedded now in long-term care and in the hospitals. So we're able to help from that angle as well. And then the other thing that we do that is really important is just general education into the community. So we have our public education coordinators who are able to go out into the community and do education to different groups as required. And so we're very lucky to be invited into many places to provide different types of education.
Wow, that sounds extremely immersive and very beneficial to all parties involved. I have a bit of a question here about the Caregiver Recharge Program. What is that?
The Caregiver Recharge Program is a program that is operated by another community partner that we work with. But basically, the Caregiver Recharge Program is a program where people can apply for a set number of hours of respite in the home. And so there are certain requirements, obviously, for the program, but through us, you can be referred or through the community itself to be able to access those additional hours of respite. And they are different from the hours of respite that can be provided by the Ontario Health at Home.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. Could you tell me, because I saw this as well, could you tell me about the video programming?
Yes. Well, I think everybody knows that we went through a pandemic. And way back then, 5 years ago, we were pretty old school. And although we had some programming online, we really were focused on in-person programming. And of course, the whole world had to shift. And so one of the things that we were able to build at the time was a video programming area where we recorded videos of our staff doing various programs. And we made all of those things available to our care partners so that they had access to, and our persons living with dementia, so they had access to be able to go online, not leave their homes, be safe, and still get some of that therapeutic benefit of our programming. So we had Tai Chi and chair yoga, but also our staff took bike rides and showed their back gardens and their catteries and did baking programs and just lots of little things that were very specifically meant to engage with someone with a cognitive impairment. And they were delivered very, very, very brilliantly, and something that we still refer back to and continue to use.
That's excellent. The pandemic was so difficult for all sorts of different communities, and just watching people pull together during that time was, that was quite amazing, especially considering the circumstances. What is the Alzheimer's Society Research Program?
The Alzheimer's Society Research Program. Absolutely. So what's amazing about the Alzheimer's Society itself is that there's several levels to the Alzheimer's Society family, in the fact that we have the Alzheimer's Society Canada, the Alzheimer's Society Ontario, and then all of the local chapters in the province. And so really, the research program is focused through Alzheimer's Society Canada, and they are the ones that are responsible for fundraising and initiating a lot of the research programming that is done through many different institutions and partnerships. But one of the things that we do as a local chapter is a percentage of every dollar raised goes towards those research programs and initiatives. So that's part of our agreement when we are working with Alzheimer's Society Canada. And I will say that Alzheimer's Society Ontario also fills a space which is about advocacy. So they're the ones that do a lot of the advocacy provincially, so that they can sort of have support and headway for legislation, rules, policy, and in fact are currently working on Bill 122, which is about dementia care in Ontario as well. So they're working on a strategy for dementia care.
Amazing. Are there any restrictions to becoming a member of the Alzheimer's Society of Peel? As in age, does a person have to have their own caregiver, things of that nature?
No, there is no restriction. Ultimately, we want to have a no wrong door policy. It's really important that people know that as long as we have consent to be able to talk to somebody, we are going to provide information and education and resources. So it doesn't matter what age you are. If you're worried about your memory or you're worried about somebody else's memory, then you can give us a call. And it's not just about memory, I should say. There's many other symptoms to the disease that are important. And so, if there's anybody who's experiencing changes or challenges and they want to learn more, that's how they can sort of connect with us, and we will help guide them through it. And the majority of our services are at no cost. We have a small fee for our day program and our respite home, but all of our care navigation, dementia resource consultant, and public education is free.
Excellent. Now, I like this question, but without using any names, can you share a success story with me? Like what supports were put in place and how was it done when someone asked for help?
Oh my goodness, success stories. We have so many. We're really lucky because, I think it takes a whole team sometimes to help people to understand what dementia is and how it impacts an individual and an entire family. And I think one of the things that helps is our person-centered approach. So it's really important that as we're building a support system around a person, we're really understanding who that person is and what their interests are. And so when we're trying to support a person with dementia, ultimately we want to understand, what their desire is and what they would like to be able to get from partnering with our programs. But sometimes they may not always know that they are struggling with a dementia. And so how can we find all of those different ways to help them or the care partner get the supports that they need and remain safe? So when I think about a success story, I really think about the fact that a lot of people will come to our day program and potentially say, or their loved one will say, they'll never come. They won't come to this. They won't do it. I could never see them doing these activities or coming to this program. And we always talk about the magic of like 6 to 9 visits. And if we can get them through the door that many times, we will end up having to give them extra days of service during the week because they will end up loving the program so much. And it becomes that extended space of friendship and socialization, and they love the staff. And I think one of our success stories of that is even when we had to pivot to virtual programming through the pandemic, it was so important that, the same people that came to a day program on site, when they saw each other on video, the laughter, the connection, the memory, I know that person, like it all came together, and you didn't have to be in the physical space to be able to recognize that everybody had that camaraderie and that sense of connection. And so, I think that that's just really important to help families understand that you may think somebody won't do something, but if we can get enough of those tries in and get through those hard couple of weeks or months, we really can see success in our services and help somebody to feel purposeful and engaged, and also give that respite back to the family who may need to go to work, or just have some time at home alone.
Excellent. That's a very important thing to do. Absolutely. I am curious about sort of the opposite side of that as well. What do you see happening again and again and again with people with disabilities in your community or in any community that you can think of? And what's going on and how do we change it?
Barriers. Barriers of all types. Wait times, high complex needs, too many places to go for one thing. And so what I would love to see and what we're trying to do, as I mentioned before, is that no wrong door. We've been partnering with another agency recently, and we ended up with a referral for someone who was at the age of 4 with autism. And it's not our wheelhouse. It's not what we do. It's out of scope for us. But it didn't mean that we didn't service them. We got them all of the right connections to get them to the right place. It doesn't mean we can always do that, but I think when we're thinking about how we help, it's about helping and making sure that we can not be a barrier to someone else getting the support that they need. So yeah, when it comes to how people get connected to us, we know that people with dementia specifically, there's no two people the same. And I think that that's something to understand about anybody, even with people with disabilities. Nobody's the same. And so how do we tailor an approach to care that sees that person's needs, and then meets them where they're at, and doesn't try to prescribe things to them, but allows them to have choice.
That's beautiful. I have been thinking to myself again and again recently, there is no such thing as the default human being. There's no such thing as the default brain, because everyone's brain is as different as everyone's eye color or hair color, and we're all different, which means that we all have different barriers. We all have different, obstacles and different ways of getting over them. And a lot of the time it takes community. It takes help from other people.
Yeah. That's so brilliantly put. We are all very unique, and I know we can't be everything to everyone, but how do we make sure we offer enough choice that people can make an informed decision and then choose what they want? And that just because we see somebody, needing something, it doesn't mean that from the outside in that we could put that on somebody else. They really need to be able to have that autonomy for decision making. And that's really important in dementia care, because I think so often we can think that someone is not capable. And people with dementia, we say we live with it, or people live with dementia. And so it's just really important that we recognize that you're living with it, and there's ways to be successful with with all different types of dementia and Alzheimer's.
Absolutely. Now, good segue into this next question. If someone wanted to become a member or a volunteer with the Alzheimer's Society of Peel, what does the process look like as a member? What does it look like as a volunteer for joining?
Absolutely. So I mentioned our No Wrong Door. So we do have a direct support line where anybody in the community can cold call us at any time. And we try to respond within 24 to 48 hours. But that does depend on volume, because we are still, a smaller organization, even though we are fairly big. We get about 1,000 referrals, paper referrals, or first link referrals, as we call them, a quarter. So we do triage a lot of people through our doors. But basically, anyone can call, and we will, or email. We have both email and phone numbers on our website. You can have your healthcare professional refer you anytime. And that is how you get connected to our programs. Our day programs, though, are through Central Registry in Mississauga and through Ontario Health at Home in Central West or Brampton. And so even if you come to us, we're going to make sure that you get connected to be able to be on those wait lists. And I will say that unfortunately there are wait lists for the day programs at this time. But we also will go through all of that education with the person if they're in need of those programs. And then, so that's how you can become a member. And with our other resources like education, we have on-demand videos. We've tried to remove all the barriers so that you don't have to attend live. You don't have to attend in person. You can watch one of our education videos from the safety of your home, your bed, wherever, as long as you can get that information when you need it. We would love to have as many volunteers as possible. We have lots of volunteer opportunities, both in our day program, in our respite home, with our administrative teams for counseling, or dementia resource consultants, with our public educators, our outreach fairs. Like, we have spaces and places for both volunteers, and we also love to host students from universities and colleges. So there's just lots of opportunity, and that is about going on our website and sending an email to the volunteer at Alzheimer's Society Peel email address, and we will get back to you as quickly as possible.
Excellent. Now, just to wrap up a little bit, could you please enlighten our enlightened audience as to how to get a hold of you guys?
Absolutely. So our local number is 905-278-3667. And it's extension 307. And I will say, I don't want anybody to be disappointed. We don't have live answer right now because we just don't have the capacity with our staff. But if you leave a message, you will get a call back. You can also email direct.support@alzheimerpeel.com. Or you can get your doctor or healthcare professional, nurse practitioner, pretty much anybody in the community, Ontario Health at Home, anybody can make a referral to us via our First Link program, but it would absolutely have to be with your consent. And it's the consent of the care partner, if it's education for the care partner, or consent of the person living with dementia if they want our help as well.
Thank you very much for coming to speak with us today, Katie. We really appreciate you coming in.
I cannot thank you enough for this opportunity. I hope that anybody out there that is supporting someone who is experiencing changes in their cognitive abilities, that they just know that there's somebody that they can talk to, and that we are here just to help. And I will say, one of the biggest things we hear from our caregivers is, and the person living with dementia is, I wish I'd known about you sooner. So please think about connecting with us as early as possible. You can have a conversation. Nothing needs to happen or start. Just learn about what we do, and know that we'll be there for you on the journey of this, of dementia.
Thank you so much, Katie.
Thank you, Lily.
And that's all the time we have today, folks. I am Lilly Cereghini. Stay connected because we need each other. Bye for now, folks.